Welcome to the Good Eye Podcast. My name's Jay Smack, and in this forum we talk about largely positive issues. At least we're trying to put some positive conversation back out into the world. Sometimes the conversation itself is not entirely positive, but it's always meant in a constructive light. Today, my guest is Marie Kolendo, Senior Executive Director of the Alzheimer's Association in Richmond, Greater Richmond chapter. And we're talking about some of the unique challenges facing not only the Alzheimer's Association, but people caring for loved ones with Alzheimer's disease and the associated challenges therein. And if you have been touched by Alzheimer's disease, you know exactly what we're talking about. We talk about how they can help you if you do happen to be affected by Alzheimer's, also how you can help them, some of the challenges, as I mentioned, that they're facing, and how perhaps you can be of service. But please, listen to this episode. Maybe you'll learn something. That's always the goal here. And as always, as well, let us know if we can help you in any way. And if you have any topic ideas, et cetera, you can always find out more at goodeyepodcast.com, contact info and stuff like that. So thanks very much for your time and attention. And here's my conversation with Marie Kolendo of the Alzheimer's Association. Okay, I'm talking to Marie Kolendo, and Marie, you are the Senior Executive Director, is that correct, for the Alzheimer's Association here in Richmond?
Jay, that's correct, for Richmond as well as Central and Western Virginia.
Okay. I really appreciate you taking a few minutes to talk with me today here on the Good Eye Podcast. We'll just, as we were just talking before we started recording, we'll just kind of let it roll. I just want to talk about some of the unique challenges that you're facing. I mean, Alzheimer's and other forms of dementia is already a uniquely challenging disease to deal with, and can be absolutely devastating to family members who don't know how to deal with it, don't know what to expect. This thing comes on and they're confused, and then add in the additional challenges of COVID-19 and coronavirus. And I imagine people are just looking anywhere for answers about assistance, guidance, and maybe even people are looking for ways to help you guys. Why don't we just go ahead and start with that? How has the last month or so affected your mission, your approach to it, and some of the feedback you've been getting from the Alzheimer's and dementia community?
Jay, so we have been affected just as our constituents have. 2 weeks ago, the Alzheimer's Association went to supporting all of our constituents and our volunteers remotely. And I'm so proud of the fact that the association was very quickly able to turn our support groups and our community education programs to a virtual platform. So we went to working remotely on Friday the 13th. And on that following Tuesday, we had our very first virtual support group with over 20 people included in that support group. And Jay, what we're hearing, so we've been having virtual support groups since then. And what we're finding out is we're actually getting better attendance than we did when we had the in-person meetings. So people obviously have more time on their hands. They're at home, but they're craving support. They're craving information. To what we were talking about earlier, people are impacted. They may be unable to see their family members if their loved one is in an assisted living facility or in a memory care unit. They may not be able to see them in person. And even we're working and supporting families who have a loved one at home that they're not living with, that they don't feel comfortable going to see because they don't want to bring any type of potential virus into the home. So the association is available for support groups, online support groups, through our 24-hour, 7-day-a-week helpline. That number is 800-272-3900. We're also offering online community education programs, and people can find those programs and register by going to alz.org/GRVA.
Okay, you mentioned in some circumstances, probably a lot of them, that family members are either apprehensive about going and visiting their loved ones, but caregivers, they have no choice. What's it like for the caregivers on the front lines? First of all, in-home care, and then some of the assisted living facilities, because we've all heard the stories about how they can be kind of ground zero for the spread. Do you guys have a role in that, and how are you helping caregivers and family members deal with at home and then, of course, the facilities?
Right. So how we're helping family caregivers at home is through the support groups, the support networks, the calls for someone who says, because if you're at home with your loved one, you're spending a lot more time with that loved one. And so being able to reach out to the association, to a care consultant, and saying, I'm seeing this behavior or this communication issue. I don't know what to do. By calling our 800 number, you're going to have a professional on the line who's going to walk you through and give you tips and tricks. So being available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week is key. For caregivers in assisted living facilities or memory care, we're providing guidance and information to them about, certainly they're receiving CDC guidance about care and cleanliness, but about how do we keep individuals active and engaged. I know there have been a lot of creative FaceTiming or Zooming, so individuals who are in those facilities can still connect with their loved ones who are on the outside, because that's important. Being able to see that individual, again, they may not know who they are, but they're going to recognize a familiar face, right? They're going to recognize the sound of someone's voice. And what we encourage people, caregivers especially, is to, even though there's a lot of anxiety, to be calm, to be that calming presence to that caregiver, to that loved one, to say, it's okay, can't see you right now, but I'm still here, I'm available. We're able to connect either on the phone, and I think in most cases, video.
Have you been seeing more interest in people wanting to volunteer? I'm just curious because, like you said, we're all cooped up, and the meetings, a lot of the virtual meetings and support groups have really spiked because people are discovering this resource, but they're also just craving human interaction so much and meaningful interaction. And I'm hearing of, and maybe you can confirm or dispel this, that volunteerism is up, and caregiver volunteering and career change is up, especially with people having the necessity of making a career change if they've lost their jobs or been laid off. Are you seeing that?
We're definitely seeing an increase in the number of people who are volunteering with us. Certainly right now, the critical volunteer roles that we have going on are on our Walk to End Alzheimer's committee or our longest day committees. Those are still going on, and we are seeing a lot more interaction. The committee meetings are still taking place. They're just taking place virtually. And it's amazing with today's technology how much fun and what you can do, from virtual happy hours to get-togethers, right? To people are craving that human connection. And I think as well, if we haven't seen yet an increase in the number of people who want to volunteer from a care and support perspective, but again, people can reach out and they can do that. All of our training is online. So people can still reach out to volunteer in many different ways to the association. And again, all of those volunteer opportunities are available on our website.
You mentioned the walk and the longest day. Why don't you give us a little bit of background about what those events are and what they're like? And I'm not sure. I know longest day is in September. Is that correct?
June.
It's in June. It's closer than I thought, because I'm talking to my wife about doing something for it. But do you think these events are going to go on, or is there talk of rescheduling? And of course, what are they?
Right. So the Walk to End Alzheimer's is the largest fundraising event in the United States to support care and support services, and as well as research for the Alzheimer's Association. And so our walks are typically in the fall. So yes, we believe our Richmond walk will take place the last Saturday in October. And the planning committee is working to, again, get everything in place now, get our volunteer force in place now, so that when COVID-19 is a memory and we're all able to go outside, we will be very well prepared to launch, right? So we're doing everything we can internally now. The key is getting volunteers engaged and starting to do that outreach about the walk, team captains, and getting teams signed up and registered, because then we'll be ready to go. So we firmly believe that's going to take place in the fall. And again, right now it's all about volunteering and helping us get ready. The longest day is the second signature fundraising event of the Alzheimer's Association. It takes place on the summer solstice, the longest day of the year. That's why it's in June. And that's a very different event, where walk is very team-based and we celebrate and get together and actually have a walk, a community walk in October. Longest day events are more of individuals want to do something on their own. And what we're finding is people are finding very creative ways to still do fundraising on their own while they're cooped up at home. So you can bake, right? You can play games, online games. You can do yoga. You could do lots of different activities while you're home with your family and still use that as a fundraiser for the longest day. So we're seeing, we have throughout the United States, but certainly in Greater Richmond, we have such a wonderful and a caring community. And we are seeing people come up with very creative ideas to still fundraise and support the association. The Alzheimer's Association raises 100% of its funds for our mission and for research. And so we're figuring out a different way to do a lot of the things we would normally have done more than 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, I think I had them backwards. That makes sense.
Yeah.
How is fundraising given the economic challenges that come with, coronavirus and everything?
Yeah, our fundraising levels through the last 3 weeks are down. And I say that, but I was on the phone with a donor earlier this week just to check in on her. And she said, "Hey, Marie, I put a $5,000 check in the mail to you last week." So again, I think there's so much going on in our personal lives and in our communities that I think, especially over the last 3 weeks, that's been very distracting. Once we kind of get back into I refuse to call it a new normal. Once we get used to where we are for some period of time, people are settling in and realizing that businesses still go on, associations, nonprofits are still here supporting our community and still need funding. So while currently we're seeing a downshift, I certainly hope that and expect that won't continue in the long term.
We've talked a lot about the coronavirus and COVID-19. Let's talk a little bit of nuts and bolts. And maybe some of the signs that people, if they're wondering if something's going on with a loved one or maybe even themselves, what are some of the early signs they could look for to maybe prompt them to talk to their doctor?
Mm-hmm. Certainly, Jay. The most noticeable signs are frequently repeating the same information over and over again, asking the same questions over and over again. So maybe asking the same question 5 or 6 times within a 20 or 30 minute period, right? It could be forgetting someone's name, forgetting words or the names of things. It could be confusion with day and time and place. And the key is if you suddenly see these things happen, that's more indicative of some other type of illness going on. It could be some type of an infection or a vitamin deficiency. Alzheimer's and the disease is a slowly progressing disease. So when people are, quite frankly, are spending more time with their loved ones now, they may start to see certain patterns like forgetfulness, forgetting, misplacing items, and being unable to retrace their steps and find them, asking the same questions over and over. Those are the fundamental, normal, early warning signs of something that you'd want to see your doctor about.
That's a good point about people being maybe with loved ones now more than normal. And I have heard of some situations where people are, hunkering down with older relatives, and that can be a hidden benefit to something like this. They get to spend a lot of time together, and maybe it gives you a little bit more perspective than you otherwise would have had.
Exactly. A lot of times individuals who are self-aware and are noticing those signs do a lot to hide that from their loved ones. And so as we're spending more time together, it's more difficult for them to hide those memory lapses or issues. And that in turn could be a benefit, because then we can get them to a physician. Doesn't necessarily mean it's Alzheimer's or another form of dementia, but it's certainly something that you would want to have checked out.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but Alzheimer's and dementia does not necessarily increase one's vulnerability or susceptibility to a respiratory illness like this, correct?
That is correct. There's no proof that dementia increases your risk of COVID-19 or the respiratory illnesses. The challenge with individuals who have Alzheimer's or dementia is more of they may forget to wash their hands, or they may forget some of that hygiene that we're being told is so important now, which is why it's so important for caregivers to remind individuals to wash their hands, demonstrate the hand washing techniques and activities to keep those individuals as safe as possible. But no, there isn't a direct link to the two.
Okay. Well, we've covered basically what I was hoping to get at. It popped into my mind the other day during a Synapse meeting, which is how we kind of got together. And as I told you before we started recording and emails, I've been through this with my mother-in-law, so I understand the challenges it can present to people. And I just wanted to have you on and find out some of the challenges that might be unique to this situation and how you guys are doing. But is there anything else we can talk about or raise awareness about to help spread the word?
Well, I'd say, Jay, one, thank you for the opportunity. And I just want everyone to know that the Alzheimer's Association is here. We're open. We're helping families in our community. We're looking for certainly volunteers. The best way to reach us is either at alz.org/GRVA. And if you don't do anything else, write down our 24/7 helpline number at 800-272-3900, and don't hesitate to call, reach out to us. That's what we're here for.
Okay. Marie, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate the information, and good luck with everything. I just can't imagine how challenging it is for you right now.
Thank you, Jay. I have a wonderful team, a staff of very caring individuals. We have great volunteers. We're going to do this together. Take care.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Of course, thanks once again to Marie for her time and her efforts and making time for this conversation today. You can find out more about the Greater Richmond chapter at alz.org/GRVA, the Greater National Association website. Just chop off the GRVA. It's alz.org. And do please call their 24/7 helpline if you need any assistance at all. That number is 800-272-3900. And please reach out here if this podcast or I can be of service to you, however that may be. The email address is goodeyepodcast@gmail.com, online at goodeyepodcast.com. Thanks for your time and attention today. And until next time, try to look at life with your good eye.